back to another episode of Racing It Out. It's been a while.
I remember us. We're the podcast people talking about racing. Well, sort of talking about racing, but not exclusively racing. And we've been kind of busy and a little negligent in having episodes. So we really apologize. But
yes,
we promise to get back on track now because we got a lot of things to talk about. And some of it involves racing and motorsports and all the rest of it. So
yes, Todd and I have been very busy. It's not like we haven't seen each other, but we have been very busy, been all over the country since the last time we did an episode.
And some of us have been out of the country.
Yeah, okay. Someone went to Florida and
well, yes. And I remembered all of the important things to bring with me when I traveled. So
yes.
we'll talk about that.
We'll get into that because Todd had a little at the airport.
Well, I have two forgetful stories that I'll tell you about. Yeah, it started both of one each for the Edmonton trip and the Saskatoon trip.
Well, we'll get into that later because I have so many forgetful stories, but Todd's usually not one to be that forgetful.
No, it's unusual. It does happen. So, but I do forget. Do you forget stuff when you leave the house? For instance, if I'm going grocery shopping, I will write out a list of stuff that I want to take, and I don't do it on my phone. I usually just scribble it down because I'm running around. I would say conservatively 4 times out of 10, I will forget the list.
Oh yeah, unless that's why I have to do it on my phone.
Well, but I don't do it on my phone. I should, but I have found the best method for remembering to bring a list or something with me that I have to take is I leave it on my shoes before I go out the door, because it's rare that I would forget to put shoes on and leave to go out somewhere. So it's come to that now. Yeah. I find that is the best method.
Yeah. Well, that's something I learned when I was researching my ADHD was setting up your habits to reflect, what is it? It's like setting up your habits to I can't even really describe it, but it's exactly what you just said is leaving your things in areas that are habits. So it's like a habit. You always put your shoes on before you leave the house. So you leave whatever you need to bring with you on your shoes. For me, I forget to take my ADHD meds in the morning. So what do?
That's troublesome.
Yeah. What do? I take it. I have a little note scribbled into my retainer case that says take ADHD pills. It's not foolproof because sometimes I forget to wear my retainer.
But you set yourself up for success.
Exactly.
Put yourself in a position to succeed. Yes.
Exactly. So doing things like you just suggested is actually one of the most foolproof ways to remember to do things. Yeah. And writing it on your phone.
Also very, very good method. So do you want to talk about the trips that we've been on mutually and separately in the last little while? So because it has been a while that we were in Toronto for Indy weekend. It was great. It was fantastic. It was super busy and fun. Weather was fantastic. What a great crowd too. What a great crowd all weekend.
Yes. I only went for the Friday. I needed a little break from the racetrack. So I only went for the Friday. I'm sad now looking back that I didn't go the Sunday because it did look like it was such a great event and I missed my opportunity to meet Jimmy Johnson, but it's fine. But you were there the entire weekend emceeing everything. So what was the event like from your perspective?
Thrilling, exhausting, but wonderful. And so happy to be back with the Honda Indy Toronto after a couple of years away. Crowd was into it. Racing was good. Drivers and teams and everybody was excited to be back. So I think it really sets up nicely to carry that momentum forward and keep going. The schedule's not official yet, but it'll be back at approximately the same weekend next year. So that's good. And then the NASCAR thing hasn't been sorted out yet for them to return, but I expect that it will be. So but it was such a good positive feeling. I mean, there were people there that I haven't seen in 2 years or longer. And it was just it was so nice to just have a couple minutes and catch up a little bit, even if it was brief at times. It was just nice to reconnect that way.
Yeah, it was nice to, man, I live in downtown Toronto, so it was nice to have them back on the streets of downtown. I forgot how exciting and thrilling that event is. My question to you is, did you like Pinty's on the Friday?
Yes.
You think it's
I'm
better
okay
than
with
Saturday?
it.
Yeah, me too.
I had no issue with it at all. It was I like that it was a one day, that there was practice and qualifying earlier in the day and you raced. I thought it was a really cool way to end the first day, as a matter of fact, because that was the first race of the weekend. The support series and IndyCar, of course, didn't race until Saturday and Sunday. I thought it was a great way to end it. The crowd sure seemed to enjoy it.
Yeah, it really brought in the crowd, because what I've found in the past is, the crowd isn't usually that good on the Fridays, even though it is the free day, because there's no actual racing to see. It's always just been practice, qualifying, like on track sessions, but no actual racing. Well, now fans got to come and see a race.
I think a bit of the word is getting out too, that, hey, these Pinty's drivers usually put on a pretty good show at this track. Maybe we should go catch it. And it's true. Same thing happened this year. Some really good action.
Yeah, it was insane. I really did think Ranger had something for Kevin at the end of that race.
So did I, but Kevin seems to have the road courses covered so far this year. What we'll get to what's coming next. Yeah,
yes, we'll preview GP3R in a little bit, but after Honda Indy, we went to Edmonton again for the first time in also 2-3 years.
Same thing.
Yeah,
same thing. We had the return of, and then you get back and it's like, hey, this is great.
Yeah.
And you get to see people that you haven't seen for a long time, and experience some of the things that you do out west. When you stayed out west, I came back east in between, and your picks are great, because you and Matt and Scott went out to Banff, and it's
Never
as amazing as the photos are. It's even better in person, isn't it?
Yeah. And we were saying afterwards, we're like, okay, we did it. Like, we don't need to do it again. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, yes, we got to do it again. We got to do it every single year, and we'll just do different things, because there's so many different things to do. And it's like, okay, next year we go up to Jasper, we do a different hot spring. We, check out, do the gondolas instead of like Louise. And, we check out different areas. Like, there's so many. And it's like, I think it was only like another like hour and a half to like into BC. So it's like, it's more worth it to just keep going along that highway. So it was like, I driving in, and it was so cool too, because it's like, I've flown over the mountains to like stop over in BC. I didn't expect it to literally be a wall of mountains driving into Banff. And it's like, all of a sudden it's like, we're like, we turned on the highway in Calgary, and we're just driving towards the mountains, and we're like, and all of a sudden they just both go, holy crap, there's mountains. And you look, and it's like, you can now see them. And then as we got closer, it's like these like the foothills. So there's like these little tiny like hills and stuff like that. But then it's just a wall of mountains. They just
Isn't it amazing?
It was gorgeous. Like 10 out of 10, like would love to stay at Lake Louise. I want to go back in the winter. Going back in the winter would be, I think, a completely different experience.
I'm sure it would be a lot colder, but you're right, because there's different activities and things to, and events,
skiing,
different events that you can participate in. So, but it's beautiful and picturesque and everything that you imagine, and more. And it was great to be back in Edmonton. Another good crowd, good great action race on the track. And then it's the quick turnaround too, which is the unique part about the schedule, and that you're back at it midweek in Saskatoon for a double header with 125 lap races. So it's super busy and intense, but it's a lot of fun too, to have that kind of schedule. Yeah.
I was working the whole 3.5 hours to Banff on the Monday.
Yeah.
It was like in the car, Matt in the front seat, me in the back seat. I'm writing my articles. He's editing the photos. And I'm like, hey, do you got this photo? Yeah, sure. Let me send it to you.
But that's the way the road warrior trip works, when it's nonstop. But it was fun. It was great. And it was a lot of enjoyment out there. So both of my forgetfulness stories are related to the West. So do you want me to tell you them here?
Yeah. I know
Okay.
one of them already, but our listeners will
Yeah,
be.
no, you sort of have
I have one
the
of
gist
them.
of one, but yeah. So the first one is out to Edmonton, and get out and realize we arrived on Friday night, and realize about 11 o'clock Friday night, I have left my glasses on the airplane. So go through, and there's an online form to fill out for lost items and everything. So I do that, and I go to the airport when we're departing on Sunday and check the lost and found, and they don't have anything there. And same thing, got back to Toronto where our flight originated, check there, they don't have anything. But you've done everything you can if it's going to turn up, and it's like, and it hasn't turned up. So that's the bad news. The good news is I'm going to get a new pair of glasses, which I've already ordered. So that's the other part.
Watch, you're going to get a notification in like 2 days being like,
then I'll have 2 pairs of glasses. It'll be fine. So that's the worst case. So the other forgetful part is, and I posted a photo on Instagram of Pearson Airport and the security line, that in the caption, of course, is never forget your Nexus card. Because for those that aren't familiar, Nexus, even though you're not traveling across the border, there is a shorter security line that is less cumbersome and a lot more efficient than the nonsense that is going on at Pearson Airport right now.
See, I didn't realize that.
I'm
like, oh, I definitely need Nexus.
So I drove to the airport, got out of the car, and went in, and realized as I was walking inside, I don't have my Nexus card. But the extension of that is I didn't have my Nexus card because I didn't have my wallet. See, you didn't know the whole story, did you?
I didn't know the whole story.
That's right. So no.
How do you even get on the plane at that point?
My passport is always kept in my backpack because I travel with it. So as I've got my passport. Okay. And then I get and realize how long the lineup is. and I'm just floored that everyone goes through this on a regular basis. And I'm so sorry. So I will never, ever forget my wallet / Nexus card again. But yeah, that's what happened. So that was the tricky part.
Thank God you had yours, because I had that moment when I was showing up to the airport for Edmonton, and I was like, oh my God, did I have my wallet? Because I am the queen of forgetfulness, and I would actually forget it. At least I'm not an hour drive away. Like some people, I'm like 40 minutes, maybe.
Sure.
Back into downtown. But it's like I had also arrived so early. My flight was at like 8:40, I think. And I arrived at like 5:45, I think.
Oh,
and I'm glad I did, because it took me an hour to get through security.
And that's ridiculous. There is no reason this should be happening.
Yep. And they had almost every single, I want to say like 80% of the lines were open.
Well, all the lines should be open.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no reason for this to be happening other than because we're still not at the full peak levels that were previous to the pandemic. So why are there hour-long lineups to get through security? And if that was the case before, then that's also unacceptable.
Yeah. So I have
this has got to be fixed.
Two possible reasons for this. One, it seemed like they were putting 2 gates worth of people through 1 gate of security, because there were people that are like, are you gate E? Oh no, I'm gate D. Oh, and they were pushing us both into that area. So you have 2 gates of people that are going through that one area. And 2, they're not answering people's questions. So there are a crap ton of people getting pulled into secondary, and that's holding up the line, because 2 of my things got pulled in. I have a bunch of equipment. It's fine. There's a bunch of lithium batteries in it. I never mind if they need to check it. But there's so many people getting pulled in because they have liquids in their things. They have whatever. They have food they're not supposed to. Like, just all these things. And
But shouldn't you know that? Shouldn't you know that before you go to the airport?
To it. It's like, how do you guys not know you're not supposed to? How do you guys not know you're supposed to put your liquids in the little baggie they give you? And 2, how do you know? How do you not know they're supposed to be under 100 milliliters for your carry-on? Because there were people with full-blown like lotion bottles. I'm like, how do you not know this? This is like,
how long have we been doing this now?
This is flying 101. Like,
right.
So it's like, but the problem is it's like, the staff in my line were so rude. And I was at like, people were asking questions and they were just not answering them. And they were like, just pushing them down, like hurting them like cattle. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, well, yes, I am very aware that there are people that probably, you know, maybe don't take carry-on, maybe are just flying for the first time. Like, who knows what the reasons are, but when they're asking questions, you need to answer them. Otherwise, they're going to get held up. And then I get held up for another 10, 20 minutes in secondary getting my stuff checked. And she didn't even check one of my bags.
Mm-hmm.
They pulled they pulled all my tech and my knapsack aside. And they didn't even check my knapsack.
Yeah, it's a combination of a lot of factors. So if you're traveling, whether you're flying or driving, walking, you should be prepared for your journey. The other part of it is then, and I try to go out of my way to be kind and polite to whether it's security staff or gate agents, especially for airlines and stuff. It's just, I've seen people be rude, and I find it so frustrating. They did not delay the plane. They did not cause the thunderstorm that has delayed your plane. So there is no excuse for being rude to someone like that. I always try to say, you know, sir or ma'am or miss. I really try to be respectful to people this way. But also, you're right. You need to know and help people through the process, because it will make your job a little bit easier. So
and I'm not talking about like the gate agents or anything. I'm talking about literally like the security folk.
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
Like, and that is the most strenuous part, besides like your plane getting delayed and all that stuff. That is the most strenuous part that you always have to undertake when flying. Doesn't matter if you're flying domestic, private, anything, you always have to go through security.
No question. So
why are they being so rude?
There's no excuse to be rude. It costs you nothing to be nice, and you should always do your best, you know, unless it's been for whatever reason. But that's just, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Do we want to talk a little bit about racing stuff? Because there's a couple of stories. A little bit about
racing stuff.
So the official announcement is out, I believe, since our last podcast.
Yes.
Chicago street race is happening next July. Excited? Enthused? Think it's cool? What do you like about what do you don't like about it? What don't you like about it?
I'm excited. I'm enthused. I really hope it's not on Toronto weekend, but that leads me into my only qualm with it. It's not?
No.
Oh, that's good to know. I guess I should go back. Oh,
it's like the first, 2nd of July or something like that.
Oh, but it's the same weekend as whatchamacallit then? IMSA.
There is an IMSA race going to be part of that schedule.
Right. I forgot about that.
And it to the best of my knowledge, it will not impact the IMSA event at CTMP. That event may shift on the calendar, but they are still expecting to be back next year. Yes.
Nice. That's good to know.
Yes.
I am enthused and excited about it. My only qualm with it is they kept promoting it as the first ever NASCAR street race.
Right. I seem to recall there being street races at Toronto would be one.
GP3R
would be another. Yeah.
Yeah, the NASCAR Penalties series seems to have a few street courses in its history.
Well, I'll give you another, and it just occurred to me when you mentioned that they don't specify that it's the first Cup race to run on, or will be the first Cup race to run on the streets, but they have also said this is the first when using rain tires, when the Pinty series used it prior to other series in the United States. So clearly the Pinty series is a trailblazer.
Yeah,
and
that's exactly what we're trying to say. And the Cup series is trying to steal our thunder.
Well, and let's give credit where credit is due, and you should be using that as part of your selling features. As look, it's been done successfully in this series. So this is why we're pushing it forward in the Cup series now.
Yeah. That it should be what they're doing, but unfortunately it seems like they're just, this is the first. And I wasn't the only one that noticed it either. A lot of people on Twitter were like, you guys forget about NASCAR Canada?
And I get the hype fest of
Yeah.
it's you wanted it to be a big deal and saying that it's the first, and I get that part of it. But you can also say, look, it's the first here, and we're doing it
First
because
in the
it's been successful.
US.
Now, the tricky part, and everyone's pointing to, is that, well, you're running on Chicago streets, and how is it going to work? And is it going to be tight? And yes, it's going to be tight, and there's going to be
you seen
concrete
Toronto?
around it. You're going to have to navigate it. And I'll say right now, it's not going to be perfect. It is not going to run smoothly and perfectly. And there could very likely be a bunch of cars that get collected, and there's a bit of a delay.
The Indy Street race last week, or a road course race last week?
Yes. Well,
it wasn't perfect by any means.
Nashville last year in IndyCar had a big pile up and a big red flag. They've altered and adjusted the course. It's very common for first time events to not run perfectly smoothly without hiccups and issues. Second year, you make the adjustments necessary. It happens.
Yeah, and it was the same with us going to Newfoundland too. It's like the track wasn't perfect.
No.
But we did what we had to do in the time we had available to do it, and it was raceable.
And the race was good.
Yeah, and the race was great. It's like, so now you just go back and you make those adjustments, and you pick up where the fallen pieces, and you put it back together, and you move on and try to make it better. So it's like, yes, it's going to be tight. Yes, Chicago, there's going to be concrete barriers and things that, they're not used to in NASCAR Cup. But again, look at penalties. We're literally about to race on a street course this weekend where it's all concrete barriers and they have to go through a freaking arch that's like made for one car, and they sometimes try to do it with two. It's going to be tight, and it's great racing.
It results in a great event every year. So embrace it, go forward with it, understand that it's not going to be perfect, but then enjoy it for all it's worth too, and celebrate it. So
I would love to go to it next year. I've never
I would love to go to that too. I love going to first time events and being part of first time events. It's really cool, and it's just there's an adrenaline and enthusiasm that you can only get once. It's and it's kind of like why I like working on new projects and startups and young companies and projects and stuff like that. I've done a few of them, and it's a really exciting and energizing kind of feature. So I really like it.
Yeah, me too. And it's like, even just for like yourself, your first time events, it's like, when first time I went to Daytona, it was a completely different kind of energy than when I went this year. It's like, oh, this is familiar. I know where I'm going. Like, it just feel like it's just different, and it's more exciting, but it's like, I really hope I get to go.
Let's go. Yeah. It'll be fun. Well, I'm sure you'll start lobbying right now. So good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. There's another story that involves NASCAR, and it's just disqualifications.
Yeah, that was some pretty big news.
Oh, isn't that interesting? Excuse me, just one second. Here, come here.
Are we gonna finally get to see Larry?
This is
Larry.
Thank you, sweetheart. Hi, sweetheart. Larry wanted to come down and be part of the podcast.
She's more than welcome anytime.
So there you go. Say hi to Caitlin. Say hi. Not a girl.
Hi, Larry.
Okay. Can I put you down? Okay, there you go. All right. That
Dad,
dog Larry on Instagram. That dog Larry. So
disqualifications.
Yeah. So disqualifications in NASCAR. I like it. You don't follow the rules and you win. Well, the win gets taken away. I would like it to be done quickly and efficiently. And I understand that it's a process for post-race and technical inspection and all the rest of it. But none of this, well, we're going to review it and think about it, and 2 days later. No, you didn't pass. You lose.
You failed.
Yes.
You can appeal it all you want.
But if you fail the first time, they're going to check and double check. And they're not going to disqualify you unless they're really sure. And I'm perfectly okay with someone who is outside the rules having a win taken away.
I 100% agree with that as well. I don't know what else to add to it. You explained it perfectly. It's like you push the envelope, and like that happens in racing. It's like people try to push the envelope, see what they can get away with, and so on and so forth. But if you push it too far, you've been penalized. There's your win gone.
That's
it's
right.
Like, it's like, because I'm sorry, but especially in Cup, it's like monetary fines don't do anything.
No, it's millions and millions of dollars that are at stake. So if you go through the pre-race and you pass, that's fine. There are different not different rules, but there are different methods and different things that are checked post-race. If you don't pass, you don't win. It was just announced, as a matter of fact, that Alex Rossi, who won on the Indianapolis road course last weekend, was docked points because he was found to be underweight at the end of the race. The car's light. So like, no, you lose.
Yeah.
That's not the way it should work.
Yeah. And something like that as well. It's like, you're talking about the weight of the car. That makes a big difference.
And, you know, there's allowances for fuel and driver and all that, but it's like, no, if you're light, then that's a distinct advantage. And
100%
docked for that.
Yeah. So then when it comes to Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin's disqualification, do you think that was such a distinct advantage?
Doesn't matter. It's outside the rules.
Fair.
It's a real hard line.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with it.
Yeah. I think it's
it forces teams to be on their game.
It does. And it's like, okay, now that this precedence has been kind of set for this season, it's like, okay, I feel like a lot of these teams are going to kind of not cower back, but they're going to stop pushing the envelope as far if they know that they're really going to crack down on this. Yes,
I think it does send a message too, and I'm okay with it. Whichever the series is and whichever driver, it's fine. And I guess that's the other story is which driver is going to be driving for which team. Who knows anymore?
In Formula One.
Even official announcements apparently aren't official. And in IndyCar too, the same thing has happened.
Yeah, you mentioned that, yeah.
So
as of right now, it seems that we will have Mercedes, Ferrari, and McLaren next year with drivers, because it seems that every single driver that isn't already signed on for a contract is being rumored to go to McLaren. Yes.
Or McLaren will have all of the teams and will have 500 drivers racing for them. I mean, it's a very strange thing with Alpine and Oscar Piastri, who's was apparently going to drive there, but he said there was a release that was put out without my knowledge,
without my agreement.
Then that's a bit of an issue. And that's the same thing that happened, of course, in IndyCar with Alex Palou and Ganassi, who announced that they had picked up his option. And he said, no. There was a quote that was not okayed by me. And minutes later, McLaren said, guess who's driving for us next year? And this one's getting ugly in the courts. Yikes. So yeah.
Oh, that's not good. Did you see Alex Albon's tweet that he put out, I think today?
Yes.
That was really cheeky. I liked it.
So that got me thinking. I think that there was a rule put in a number of years ago in the United States for political announcements, is that the candidate must say their name and that they authorize this message. So I think that all drivers should now be doing that for their contract announcements. It's like, I'm Alex Albon and I approve this message, as he did on Twitter. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious. It's like, it's all video announcements from here on out, no more press releases, and then every single video has to end with the driver being like, and I approve this message.
And I approve this message. How do you feel about drivers announcing in the middle of one season that they're going somewhere else next season? It's unique to sports because in hockey or baseball or football or whatever, you can't make a plan officially until you are a free agent.
Yeah, that is
Now,
very true.
the contracts work differently, and sometimes there's negotiating periods, or a team has up until a certain amount of time, and then they're free to look around. But it's the unique part about motorsports is that you're signed and working for one team, but 6 months from now you're going to be working for somebody else. It's kind of weird.
It is very weird, and it is very unique to motorsports, and it's very unique to pro motors, or not, I don't want to say pro motorsports because Pinty's is technically pro motorsports, but it's very to like Cup and IndyCar and Formula One and like the big tier motorsports, because like, how do you go the rest of the season working for one team and then knowing you're going to switch to another one next season, especially if it's a better team too? It's like, ooh, yeah, we're losing our driver and he's going to a better ride. Missed that
well, sometimes
one.
it gets very uncomfortable too in terms of the team dynamic. And quite frankly, it's in motorsport is they don't share all the information with their driver because they know that driver is leaving and they don't want them to take too much with them. And that hampers your ability for success. So it's kind of difficult all around.
Not only does it affect their performance with the team they're currently with when the team starts to withhold that information, how does that dynamic play out on track when they have to battle with the driver in their soon-to-be team?
Right.
And not piss off their soon-to-be crew and their potential soon-to-be teammate as well by battling for position.
It's the discussion, and in business, though, you'll hear conflict of interest or government contracts. It's a similar kind of thing, is trying to, yes, we're going to still be competitive and we're going to do all we can to win for the balance of the year, except you're not telling your driver everything that you can to help him. You're just throwing him out there, and he's got to be concerned about, really how hard is he going to race his new teammate next year. It's a tough dynamic.
Well, let's even look at NASCAR. It was Tyler Reddick, I believe, had announced that he'd be going to 2311 racing in 2020, what, 24? Yeah, like a full season and a half later.
You've got a whole dead year ahead of you? No, thanks. Cut him loose.
Yeah. So it's like, how does that even work on track? And it's like, that must be the most uncomfortable situation for the driver to be in, because he's just doing what's best for him and where he thinks he has the best opportunity to grow and, win a championship and win races. And he now has to be stuck with a team that's not saying that RCR isn't winning races. Tyler Reddick has won 2 races this year already, which is amazing for him.
Yes.
But you have to wait a year going through this weird transition process of, talking with your sponsors and stuff for your new team and the stakeholders in that new team, while also trying to please the sponsors and stakeholders that you currently have.
That's it, is your responsibility, of course, is to fulfill your contract. But and again, the logistics of the contract, saying that I guess he was allowed to discuss and negotiate his future at that point, even though he's still under contract for a year and a half, which I find baffling.
Weird.
So it's a strange and unique set of circumstances to motorsport. But I don't know, maybe it's something that needs to be addressed, saying that, okay, you can, at this point in the season, whether, there's 20% of the season left or something, then you can start looking at next year. But just to sort of take it out of this, 6 months or a year and a half before you make the move.
Right. And it's like, not to say that F1 doesn't do that. It's like they have their silly season, which usually starts around the summer break, which now it is the summer break. But that's still like, they're still racing until like what, December?
Yes.
So it's like you still have the better part of a year to go.
Yeah, and that's too long. That's too long. That's what I mean. It's got to be restricted a bit. So,
well, our series doesn't do that.
No, that doesn't happen, and it continues with GP3R coming up with the feature event being the Pinty series on Sunday afternoon. 60 laps of racing, which is just enough that they are going to have to make pit stops for fuel, and the rule is somewhere before lap 50, and it creates action and activity and drama and
different strategies.
Again, it's a fun race to go. And this is one of my favorite events of the year. Me because too. The town embraces it. It's a celebration all weekend long, and super excited to get back there again this year.
Yeah, I love GP3R. It has always been my favorite event on the schedule. Like you said, the town embraces it. I hope the
Yeah.
Ferris wheel's back this year.
Yes. All your
re-
favorites.
I do. They are having an autograph session Thursday night down by the water with, I think they said, a aquatics demonstration. I don't know what that means.
Oh, cool. Does that mean like water skiing with the pyramid and everybody standing up
Maybe.
on shoulders and stuff?
I'm going to their website right now to check. What does it exactly say? Yeah. In addition, a surprise aquatic demonstration awaits you there at 7 p.m. You want
like
to be present at this activity.
Okay, cool. So
who knows what it's gonna be?
maybe there's the big high diving act or something.
Maybe.
I don't know.
High diving
we'll
could be swimmers in the lake or in the river.
We'll look forward to sampling food of all sorts in Quebec this week. And now, do you have food shout outs or any mentions that you want to get in from our last few stops and along the way, or is there any favorites?
So
Did you go to the Banff Springs Hotel for lunch or anything while you were there? That's too bad. It's a great
didn't.
Experience. Yeah.
I know that'll be next year. Next year we'll actually try to experience
when
the
you
hotels.
Can plan it better. Yeah,
exactly. It was very much like, oh, is it going to be worth this? It's like the boys thought, or like Matt and Scott thought it was going to be a 5-hour drive, and I'm like, no, it's only like 3.5. And they're like, oh, that's a little bit better. But it was just like we didn't really have the time to plan it. And this year, now that we know what we're doing, where we're going, how long it kind of takes to get in between places, and how busy things are that time of year, we'll be able to plan it better.
Good.
We'll probably end up hopefully staying there next year in Banff, because we were like, I think it was after Toronto, we're like, oh yeah, we'll just stay in Banff. $1,500 a night, man.
Good luck.
I'm like, holy crap.
Should have called.
We ate at the Elk in downtown Banff.
And did you eat elk or something
they did, though.
Wild and exotic?
Matt had an elk burger. He said it was really good. I had a grilled chicken burger.
Yeah, that's
I've been eating like crap that entire week in Edmonton. I was like, I want something that it doesn't feel like it's gonna hurt my insides.
Natural, good, nice one. Okay. So a couple of quick food mentions. In Edmonton, it's not so much food, but we resume the tradition of going for a steak at Chop near the track the night before the race. They make a Greyhound drink that is unbelievable, it's vodka and grapefruit juice, but there's a few other little things they put. Oh, it's fantastic. I love a Greyhound. So yeah, it's yes, go get the Greyhound drink special, which they always seem to have. The Saskatoon Whirlwind is always a Shark Club post race for wings, and for whatever reason, I thoroughly enjoy jamming as many nachos into my face as I can. Like a plate of nachos, I could eat. I love them. I just could eat them. I could eat them all the time.
Speaking of nachos,
yeah.
I had never really been to a casino before. I'd never like played slots or anything like that. The only time I'd ever been to a casino was for a concert, and that was Niagara Falls in like 2016 or something. So Olivia and I went to the casino twice. And the first time we went just for dinner, and it was dirt cheap, good food.
Nice.
And I was shocked. And I'm like, and she was like, yeah, this is how they get you, man. They're like, good food just ropes you in. And then you're like, yeah, I'll just keep paying for food. And like the drinks were cheap. Like I was like, man. And the reason I thought of that is because both times I went, we got nachos.
Yeah. I love a good plate of nachos. Oh, going back even further though, in Toronto, I went to a little burger place on Atlantic in Liberty Village called Burger Drop. Fantastic smash burgers, really good. And I was just in Florida, and I went to a place. I'm in a new neighborhood, so I'm like trying places. And the name was intrigued. The name of this place intrigued me because I'm thinking, okay, so this is like 1970s era. The name of the place is called the Mellow Mushroom.
Oh my God.
But the pizza was sensational.
That's
it was
good.
Absolutely fantastic. So yeah, there was that was and apparently they got more locations coming. So yeah, it was really good. So those are my food.
It's a chain.
Well, there's one. I think there's going to be two. So I guess that technically qualifies. But yeah.
When I was in Toronto, I ate at Hotel X both nights. And I had never been Hotel X before, and they make a mean margarita. And they there was some dish we had It was like this chicken dish. I can't even remember what it was. It was so good. And we ate at the restaurant both nights too. And this fish I had was amazing. And like I said, I don't normally eat fish if I'm not by like an ocean, but this fish was good. Like it was falling off, like had like a curry sauce on it.
Beautiful.
That was amazing.
All right. So more food tales to come
we'll
from
have
GP3R, I'm
bunch.
sure, this weekend, and looking forward to that. Do you want to do the disclaimer or do you want me to?
No, it's your tradition. You have to do the
Okay.
disclaimer.
The thoughts, ideas, opinions, and expressions by Caitlin and Todd on this podcast in no way are said to be representative or reflect the thoughts, ideas, opinions, and ideas of NASCAR, IndyCar, Green Savory, Rev TV, and anyone else that we may have cause to have a professional relationship with in some point in the future. How's that?
Beautiful as always.